Okay, hopefully it's going to work this time. Fingers crossed. Hello everybody. This is a little bit of a new video for me. I want to show you a little bit of the behind the scenes of what happens at our interior design and renovation company. And I thought a really good way to do that would be to vlog. I strategically decided to start this vlog bang on when we're actually starting one of the most exciting projects. You know, I have to try and make it actually worth watching, so fingers crossed it will be. So earlier on this week, we travelled up to not very far from where we live in Sussex to meet our clients, our brand new clients, and they've just purchased this stunning farmhouse that they've called us in to support them on their interior design and this first phase in particular, their layout. So let me just show you around and we'll start with our drive up there. Good morning guys, say hello now.
Morning.
We're very excited today and we're heading up to our new clients, Naomi and Mark, absolutely lovely people. They have just bought a beautiful, when I say beautiful, it's honestly next level property. And they've asked us to support them with the interior design of the full property. It's got 4 bedrooms. It has they're doing a little bit of structural change to it. Yeah, I'm really excited to help them get their layout correct, and also help them plan all their colour schemes, finishes, and just really make this their forever family home.
We're going to be photographing the property as well, and I'm going to take some video. There's a couple of reasons why we do this, and the first is so that it gives Fee a good visual reminder of the layout of the property and the light as well, and also before footage and photography so that we can tell the story.
The property itself is absolutely stunning. It's got so much character. It's a full renovation and the clients have actually briefed me so well with their style, what their plans are, what their vision is for the property, which can be unusual. These are clients, I would say, that have a really strong vision, and it's really lovely to be able to be a part of that. As you can see, every single room of the house needs work, and they are really keen on making sure that it's a sustainable renovation. So they're keen to perhaps extend towards the back, to really make the downstairs flow a lot better for their needs. And they're considering adding solar panels and installing an air source heat pump. So they'll be all ground floor, underfloor heating. They're also looking at ways that they can insulate all the walls and just really bring this property up to spec in terms of sustainability. We already, myself and Naomi, the owner, have so many ideas for how we want to really transform this space. We want to keep it calm, light, bright, airy, and with a modern country twist. And the clients, Naomi and Mark, have been absolutely brilliant at understanding very early on what their design tastes are. They want timeless. They have 2 dogs and 3 children. The children are in their teens, and they are very keen on making sure that all of the fixtures and finishes are really do lend themselves well to family life. It was honestly so exciting just meeting them in person, seeing the property for the first time. It's probably something that I think a lot of people would walk into and maybe feel daunted at how much is required. And I know that a lot of people will be thinking, you know, where do I start? If I'm about to get the keys to a property like this, where do I start? And I think this sort of property in particular is different to the housing stock that makes up 90% of the UK. It's not your average 1930s, 40s, 50s or bungalow renovation. It's more, it's a very quirky layout. I think it was built in the late 1800s, and with that in mind, the walls are very thick, they're very irregular. As I was doing the measured survey, I noticed that quite quickly. But also the ground floor layout only comes out so wide, and there are parts of it that are like pinch points in a way. If we knock one wall down, they sort of are quite narrow. So it's a really big challenge for the clients, and I'm so happy to have been brought in for this. It's a challenge for me too, I'll say that. My typical property is usually a 30s property or a Victorian property that have very I guess you could say, predictable layouts that need work. So it might be a terraced house that needs an extension out the back, or it might be a 1930s property that just needs better flow. So the clients have just got the keys to this beautiful farmhouse. Thankfully they're living elsewhere whilst the work happens. They want to get it all done in one go. So they've brought me in to help them with initially with their layouts. We're gonna really iron out how to get this ground floor really working for them as a family, and also how the property's been added on to over the years. So it's got an extension that's been built out the back, and then another garden room that's been put out the back. So we have some work to do to really make this place really flow beautifully. So yeah, this week my head has been in the numbers. And when I say numbers, it's because I tend to get the measured survey done, come back to the office, start drawing the ground floor layout as it exists. Then my first phase is to start playing with layouts. So I always recommend to look at the 4 walls first. If you didn't remove any walls, what could you do? You know, this kind of helps to really pull in the costs. So I started by really playing around with layout ideas. And I think at one stage I had about 9 or 10 layout ideas. Obviously I'm not going to share all of those with the client because it's all about exhausting options. So and then pulling out the best 3, for example, with varying levels of financial commitment. So that's been my week. I've also tried to really stay ahead of the project, ahead of the curve in a way. I know that the client really likes Little Green paints. So I reached out to Little Green on their Instagram DMs, and I just asked them, like, do they have any really big colour cards? So essentially, I know with Farrow & Ball, this is what I normally use. They have a beautiful like fan deck. So instead of using the piddly little colour charts, and you can't really see the colours and how they play with light, and they're just too tiny to make any sense of. I wanted to see if Little Green can offer anything a little bit bigger. So they sent me this very lovely box full of their colours. They're not quite as big as the Farrow & Ball colours, but they are so much better. So I can easily flick through and show the client exactly what sort of colour scheme I'm thinking. What's really handy about these colour fans is that you can actually unscrew them and then start playing around with colour schemes literally there and then. And then the other one is the Colours of England, the whole collection. And they've got such a nice variety. So I'm really excited to play around and get to learn a bit more about Little Green. I've proposed them a few times, but it's definitely a brand that I want to learn more about, because I know that they're huge and people really adore their shades. The other delivery was from a company called Cornerstone, who I've known about for many years, and I remember looking at them as an option for our utility room, but now I kind of recommend them mainly for clients who want really nice stone floors. And what I've seen in recent years is that they've started to do really amazing porcelain tiles that look like stone, but they're actually a lot more hard wearing. I got 2 samples sent. Naomi and Mark's tastes are very natural, earthy and timeless, and it's really important that the flooring especially is really hard wearing because they have 2 lovely dogs. This one is the Monte Carlo limestone. It's a tumbled finish, and basically when that gets grouted, it's going to have a really uneven grouting edge, and you kind of want at least I'd say 5mm grout line to really like give it its character. It's got a beautiful finish. It's not honed. Honed or polished is where it's really like flat, whereas this shows all the texture. Absolutely gorgeous. And I believe it gets laid with a free length, which means that you have a set width, but you have all different lengths within that width. Luckily, Cornerstone, if you're not up to speed on your laying patterns or your finishes, they give a handy little leaflets in their delivery. So it kind of teaches you about what free length means. It teaches you about the natural stone finishes. And yeah, I thought that's really handy. But yeah, they're a really lovely company and actually quite reasonably priced. So obviously there's the stone option, and this obviously will need sealing. It's all completely real stone. And then a different option would be the Hambleton Ivory, which is a porcelain. I really like this one. It really appealed to me specifically because porcelain tiles are a lot less maintenance. You don't have to seal them. They aren't porous. If you spill a glass of wine or something and don't pick it up, it's not going to stain. There's a lot of stone look porcelain tiles on the market, but this one in particular appealed to me because once you grout the edge, it gives that really nice uneven tumbled finish, and it's not often that you can really achieve that. So those are two options that I want to put past the clients and see what they think. So those are just some little things that I got delivered this week, and obviously no affiliation to these brands. These are companies that I need to order from anyway. These are companies that my clients are going to need to be buying from. So yeah, I just thought I would share this with you so that you know what sort of companies that I'm looking at and who I'm proposing. What else has been going on this week? Actually, yeah, this would be a good one to talk about. So the day after our site visit, I actually started therapy again. It's probably been about a year since I had therapy, and basically, if you've seen my Instagram recently, I had a bit of a health scare. I had a health scare with, I found a lump in my breast, and it shook me in a very difficult way. I thought that after that cancer scare, I would be back on my feet and I'd be fine, but actually, it just seems like I have some health anxiety that's sort of lingering, and I really do need some support with it, I think. But I suppose I wanted to share it on here because actually it just, by sharing my story, it really showed me how there's other people like me, and it made me, I was afraid sharing it. I felt like I was really opening up and being quite vulnerable, and I guess that's always quite scary. But the amount of comments and love and DMs that I got back from that, of people saying, Fee, I've totally been there too. And I actually started talking to this lady in particular who's one of our course students, who we've been conversing a lot about health anxiety and how she has the same thing, and we've been like sharing ideas on podcasts that we find helpful, and like who to reach out to, and it was just such a overwhelmingly lovely experience that I managed to share it, and I got such lovely responses back from it. So if that was you, thank you so much, because I felt way less alone. But yeah, this week I have had my first therapy call, which was so lovely. So the therapist I found, I used to work with about a year ago, and her name is Anna. She's absolutely lovely. She's brilliant. And I just really hit it off with her. Yeah. And I knew that she was the right person to go back to. And she is so supportive and encouraging and really good at what she does. What else has been going on this week? Yeah. So on the Wednesday, Nil and I went out to a lovely little farmhouse kind of cafe place near us. And it's where we often go actually for meetings, just the two of us. And yeah, we were planning our goals for the year. We were checking in on how we're doing. We set goals at the beginning of January, and now we're like doing a monthly check-in to make sure that we stay accountable for those goals. And also I think by scheduling in a monthly meeting, it just means that, okay, we can't put it off, like we have to, it just keeps us accountable, it really does. So yeah, and when you run your own business, if any of you do, you kind of know that you just need that sense of like progress and accountability and reflection and review and stuff like that. So normally we would go on a really nice walk. There's a really steep walk actually that we start the day with, but the weather was a bit drizzly that day, so we decided just to go straight there, 2 black coffees, and just got to work. We started reviewing our goals, how we're doing, and what intentions we have for the month ahead. And something that Neil said, which I completely agree with, is anyone, whether you run a business or not, everyone should have monthly meetings, whether it's solo, just with yourself. Schedule in a time in your calendar and say, okay, the first of every month, that's when I'm checking in on my goals and what I want to achieve this month. Or if you're a family or you live in a partnership, get yourself together, like book yourself in with your partner or with the people that you live with, and just make yourself accountable. Like check in with how things are going and what do you want to achieve in your life, what do you want to achieve for your health, what do you want to achieve for your finances, all of these areas that we want to work on. Let's start making a plan to make things happen. And finally, just this morning, we ended the week with some very exciting developments in our living room. So we've decided to do some, I called them tweakments earlier and Neil started laughing, but I think tweakments is actually like the name given for like Botox and things, so I'm gonna coin it for the interior design industry. We decided to do some tweakments for our living room. 6 years ago was the last time that we renovated it, and it's due a lick of paint at the very least. But also what I knew then versus what I know now, having trained as an interior designer and worked one-on-one with people in projects, there's so much more that I know now that I can implement into our own home. And so these tweakments are happening, and this week just towards the end of the week, we really started gaining some good ground. Neil removed some of the shelving. We want to install some tongue and groove panelling. I've put together a design. I put it together months ago actually. I've got an elevation of that wall, and we're going to be installing tongue and groove panelling to the alcoves. We're going to be putting some really beautiful reinforced MDF shelving, and it's going to be much stronger than the previous shelving that we had, which was actually plywood, even though it was warping. Very strange, because plywood's actually fairly strong. But yeah, they'll be much thicker, much more robust, and probably more timeless in their appeal. And we're going to give the whole room a really beautiful look of paint. I've designed a new fire surround. The old fire surround just wasn't really the right fire surround for the room. It has never actually been stuck to the wall. It's kind of always been floating, sort of, if you pull it, it will come down. So yeah, a bit of a child hazard that. So we're just going to pop that in our guest bedroom for now and let that just do its thing. We're going to be raising the hearth and putting a really beautiful limestone hearth in. Actually considering the Monte Carlo, that wouldn't be a bad option if they've got some thicker versions. So that's something to look at. Possibly new flooring as well, not sure yet. But I'm really, really excited to have a whole new look and feel in the living room and really stretch my design muscles and experiment, Okay, it's getting really dark now. I really hope that you liked this video, and yeah, it's much more chatty than my usual thing. Let me know if you like this. Let me know if you want another one. Let me know if you would really like some regular updates on how this really big project's gonna go, and I'd love to create more of these for you. Just send a comment down below, just give us a like, or hit subscribe on our channel as well. That gives us a really good hand. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.